Hey guys. You know, I've been many things in my lifetime. I've been a junk man. I've been a scare actor at multiple haunted houses. I've been an author that writes about being a junk man. But the one thing that has stayed constant through all these changes in my life is that I love Garfield the cat. I can't get enough of that Monday hating, lasagna loving fat cat and his pal Odie. And I guess I love John too, as much as he's a dweeb. The one thing in my life though that has been missing from my childhood was that I never got to have a Garfield movie in the theaters during my formative years. I always wanted to be able to go to the movie theater and see Garfield on the big screen. And, you know, I mean, I guess we had the television specials, but, you know, by the time that I was old enough to see all the television specials, they had already been broadcast on CBS and everything like that. So it was cool to have those specials and have Garfield and Friends, but I also wanted to be able to buy a ticket at a movie theater, get a tub of popcorn, and sit down and watch Garfield, Odie, John, and the whole gang just, you know, do their hijinks. So in recent years, obviously they've made an attempt at doing another movie. But even before the movie with Bill Murray and The Tale of Two Kitties came out, that whole disaster of a movie, Garfield was kind of fading away into obscurity a little bit. When I was a kid, I used to go to Spencer's Gifts and like the whole back section would be just filled with Garfield stuff. Or I had a Hallmark store in town, and when I would go to the Hallmark store, I'd walk the aisles of the cards, and almost all the cards had like, you know, a section where it'd be like Garfield cards. And just, you know, going to Walgreens as a kid, there was always like Garfield plushes and stuffed animals and things like that. So right before that movie came out, I kind of noticed that Garfield started to diminish in popularity just a hair. And that movie with Bill Murray, that first Garfield movie, it put the kibosh on Garfield's popularity. It was the nail in the coffin that sent all those plushes and all those cards and everything just totally packing and just headed for the hills. So basically, God has answered my prayers in the form of Sony Pictures. They announced recently that they're making a Garfield movie, which I heard a few years ago that they were going to make a Garfield movie, and I kept checking back in the news section of Google, and it would be other things about like adopting cats. It would never be about the Garfield. It would never be a Garfield news. So when they announced that they were coming out with this movie, I was super fascinated because, I mean, we all know how that first Garfield movie went. But let's just be honest, I had to boycott those movies because of the way that Garfield looked. His look was super off, and they were going for that Scooby-Doo live action type thing that was popular during that time. And it was something that as a Garfield fan, I just didn't go to the first movie because I was so angry at the way that they had made Garfield look on the screen. He looked more like a real cat than more of a cross between being a human and a cat like Garfield usually is. So I didn't go see those movies. So when Sony Pictures announced that they're going to do another try at a Garfield film, I'm obviously interested. I was excited when they announced this new Garfield movie because I'm like, how are we going to get Garfield back in the spotlight? How are we going to get kids to latch on to Garfield? Because I can be a Garfield fan all I want, but I want future generations. I want my son to be a Garfield fan. I want his friends to be Garfield fans. I want Garfield to be back at Spencer's. So how do we get there? And I think that is with a new movie. They announced that Chris Pratt is going to be starring as Garfield. This excites me because obviously he was coming off that stuff from Jurassic World or those Jurassic Park movies. So he's a mega star right now, and he's got a lot to bring to the table. So I'm very excited that he can kind of come into play and bring some fans to the Garfield project. Now the movie is going to be written by David Reynolds, who was the writer for Finding Nemo. So again, I'm like, oh, that's another score, because Finding Nemo is a very well done children's movie. And I think what is so fascinating about Garfield is that he's for adults and children. So when the writer of Finding Nemo comes in here, that's a movie that reminds me of, it's for adults, or it's for children, but it's also for adults. So there's kind of like that double play of like jokes for both generations. So I'm really excited about that. The director is the guy from Chicken Little, which I'm super, super excited about. I vaguely remember the movie, but my fiance tells me that Chicken Little is a great movie, so that also excites me. So the only thing that makes me nervous is that Jim Davis is going to be the executive producer. I feel like in the recent years, Jim Davis kind of let Garfield go to the wayside, and partially it's because Paws Incorporated, the art studio that Jim Davis owns that produces Garfield, was an independent licensee kind of art studio. So he didn't really have the backing of like Sony Pictures or like United Feature Syndicate, like in old times of the Garfield comic strip. So it kind of just makes me feel like Jim Davis needs to kind of relinquish a little bit the control of Garfield and let like the Garfield nerds like myself kind of take over the writing reins and the producing reins, because we can see how like successful those Star Wars movies are, where after George Lucas kind of let go of his baby, people took it and turned it into something kind of not bigger, but kind of just did a little turn and made it fresh and new flavors. About a month ago, or 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, Chris Pratt posted on his Instagram a picture of what Garfield's gonna look like. And before they announced it, I was a little nervous, because obviously with that first Garfield movie with Bill Murray, they were going after the Scooby-Doo live action kind of success that was going on at that time. So they wanted to mimic that. So I was a little concerned about the movie and how Garfield was going to look in this new feature. And I think that when they released it, I had to be just comfortable saying, yeah, I'm alright with that. I'm alright with the way he looks. I would have chose to go with the way that Jim Davis chose to draw Garfield, but I understand that they have to make a little bit of a hybrid. There's something soothing in Jim Davis's shapes and the way that he draws his characters. He uses a lot of circles, and there's just something really just heartwarming about just how simplistic his drawings are. So when the new Garfield came out and Chris Pratt had posted it on his Instagram, it was a little bit of a mix between old Garfield meets Garfield from the first movie. And I guess I have to be okay with that, because anything that's going to get kids to latch onto it is something that I have to be okay with. And a lot of the movies that are coming out today that my fiance's kid watches kind of have that like mix of like the way that Garfield looks in this new movie. Garfield's got like his hair, but he's keeping his shape a little bit. So any way to get the kids to kind of latch on to the character and like think it's like any of the other movies that are coming out on Disney Plus or Netflix or anything like that. So I think they chose stylistically not to go with Jim Davis's take on the simple circles and everything that makes Garfield kind of look the way he does. All the humans kind of have a circular head to them and, you know, weird hair and stuff like that. So I think that just the way that they compromised to make it more unique to what kids are watching today is okay with me as an older Garfield fan, because my thing is I want the generation that's in school right now, the kids, to latch onto Garfield and really know about the lasagna-loving fat cat. All in all, I feel pretty confident on the movie, or this attempt. I don't feel like they're going to go and do another Bill Murray style movie or anything like that. I think they're really going to stick to the lore. I'm going to be like 34 or 35 when this movie comes out. You're going to see me with a big bucket of popcorn with tears falling in the bucket, because I'm going to be sobbing like a baby, because I know the guy from Finding Nemo is going to do a great job, and it's going to be a wonderful and very clever movie.